Hello, friends. How are you today? I thought that I would create a video of inspiration and encouragement today. The reason why is I had an exchange with someone, and I thought that I would share the essence of that with you because I very often talk about energy and how when you create an energy, it comes into the physical world and it affects your own physical life. And then what I've talked about as well is that when we embody the light that is our living soul from within, and then we learn how to embody that in the physical body in the field, what I've said is that it flows out and it can affect others, but that's not the intention for doing it. And that's also none of our business. It's a divine force. So whatever happens is through divine will and is between those people or that person and God. And so having that orientation removes the power over power under energy that can come with being in service, that can come with altruism, that can come with, certain ways of doing good deeds, because it's important to remove the charge when interacting with people. And there's aspects that come in here of the shadow element. I'm not going to address those in this video, but I would recommend videos by Jordan Peterson because he does an amazing job of addressing the shadow and integration of the shadow. The fact is that energy and manifestation and being present and creating for yourself, it is truly, in my view, between the individual and God, between the individual and their own soul, between the individual and their own divinity, and their desire, their will, their mission, the impulses that they have from divinity itself, as to how and to what level that we do these things. It's between us and God, truly. I've been having a lovely time teaching my human energy class, and the people in the class have shared how doing various practices has created changes for them. And what I wanted to do was share this moment of having an interaction with someone during a recent event or after a recent event. I had a large shift in my life recently, and so it was during this time, because what I want to share is that this is real. Working with energy is real. And when we can learn to trust our impulses, despite the questions of the mind, which is only trying to protect us, but when we can learn to trust our own selves, miracles happen and physical world changes occur. Now, I have seen these in dramatic ways because I have been, doing this for some time. And if I were to share with you some of the dramatic ways that I have seen these changes, in some cases it might be hard to believe. That's how dramatic the changes can be. But I want to share with you just a simple happening. Just a simple happening that occurred. I was blessed to receive this message from someone I hadn't seen in about, 15 or 20 years. And the person ended up visiting me, and we ended up spending time together. And this is what they wrote me. I felt comforted in your calmness, if that makes sense. And there was a little bit more to it than that, but that's personal. But even when we were visiting together in my space, the person said, I just really feel a sense of calmness here. And I didn't go into my discussions of human energy and how you work your energy field and personal energy management and everything. I just said, thank you. Thank you. But I knew what they were experiencing. And it's been my sense and feeling that you see, what happens is when you embody divinity at 0 point, okay, when you are able to have that connected state of prayer, but have it also while you're just moving around your house, living your life, that centered state of meditation, when you can do that as you're walking through the world, then interesting things start to happen because you are allowing yourself to be a vessel for divinity. And you're also allowing yourself to be just a plain old living human in the world. Not everyone is going to be able to perceive the state of your energy field. But one of the main ways that this is perceived, in my view, is almost like nothing, and almost like just a gentle open space where there's not all this crazy energy flying around. And that's why I think it's called 0 point. I don't remember where I first started hearing that, but it was years ago. And it's perceptible. Now, it's become my view that this is what unconditional love feels like in our human reality from a third and fourth dimensional perspective. That unconditional love feels like neutral. It feels like nothing, essentially. And now it's more than that, because there's an activation within of that connection with the soul. So there's a richness and thickness of a fifth dimensional presence in the field when you embody this. But and that's perceptible as well. But usually how this feels to other people is just a sense of a sense of calm. And I just wanted to show you these, I just wanted to show you something. What I'm talking about is the concept I discuss many times and periodically in my video, and what I teach to in my human energy course. And that is the concept that we all have a energy field that our body is within this field. And then from within the field that we can activate the light of the soul from the center of the field, which is the space in the heart. And that's the point of connection. When we first begin to activate this, it might be tough to hold this state of 0 point of prayerful connection, of centered meditation for very long. When I first started, I think 4 or 5 seconds was my maximum. And what happens when you do this is as soon as you make that connection, the light in your field and body just rises a little bit. It expands. You get a little brighter. And when that happens, you start to become aware of things in your field, things like old trauma, old feelings, old emotions, or current feelings and emotions. And could be thoughts as well. And you become aware that they're looping in the field. And there are techniques for addressing these so that we can get back to a centered state. And to address them, acknowledging our emotions, acknowledging our thoughts, acknowledging our human experience, and clearing any excess, closing any portals in the field that pour into our field, which sometimes happens, although it's less common. Usually it's the detritus of experience, the lived experiences that we are currently manifesting. But as we embody this light, we also gain the courage and the strength to face our fears. And there are techniques and processes for walking through this and to face our own shadow aspects, because all of us have light and darkness in the field. And if you believe in reincarnation, we have lifetimes of light and lifetimes of darkness. And usually we just remember the lifetimes of light until we get to the point where we're ready to see those lifetimes of darkness. And in our life, a lot of times it's easier to address our issues from the victim state rather than from the oppressor state, because in our life we have definitely been both, whether or not one can perceive it in the moment. Because there's balance in the universe and there's balance in our life, and that's an energetic law. And as we go about, we begin to be able to fill our body with light. And as I've talked about, the focus, in my view, should be on the self here, on one's own space of light. But you can easily see that by natural physics, this light is going to shine itself out of the field. Why? Because energy in motion is always in motion, and it will flood out of the field, right? And in doing so, it goes out into the world. Now, what happens after that is between that energy and God, right? Between not that energy, between God and whatever happens, whoever is affected, however it moves, whatever it touches, it's now just pure divine substance, right? Because it leaves your field and we have no attachment after that. And so this is a fascinating practice. It's truly fascinating because, I had the blessing of attending local meditation classes for a period of time. And I was encouraged to do this because I was asked by a lady who runs an ashram in India, and turned out she was visiting, and I happened to meet her. And she said, "Oh, do you meditate?" And I go, "No, I just, no, wait." I said, "Yes, I do." And when I described it, she said, "No, I think you're not really meditating." And it made me understand that I was doing energy work. And when you get to a certain state, I believe meditation and energy work become one. But she encouraged me to go and learn basic meditation, so I did that. Well, one of the things that was taught in this class, and I think that it's true in our society, but one of the things that was taught was that Buddha said that it's very difficult for the householder to achieve enlightenment, i.e. a person living a normal everyday life. And in our current society, now that we're in 2022 when I record this video, I think that things have changed. And you don't have to be a monk, being by yourself in a hut, in a yurt, in a cave anymore to be able to manifest this within the self. To be able to walk through life at 0 point in the human body and the physical body and the energy field. It's my view that this has come about through grace, and because this is the time. We're 10 years past 2012, and the energetic state of the planet has shifted incredibly to where we are now able to embody this. Here is a line from 2 Samuel 22:44, and this quote was so strong with me about 2.5 years ago. You have delivered me from the strife of my people. You have preserved me as the head of nations. Now, 2.5 years ago, we had an event that on the national stage, and this quote kept coming to mind. But as I was preparing the slides for today's inspirational talk, what I realized is that we can express this, we can understand this quote on an individual level as well, because our people, our world, our planet, the humans on this planet, have we been going through strife the last 2.5 years? Absolutely. It's undeniable that we have. Yet we can be delivered from this strife through this connection with God, with our own soul, with the divinity that we truly are, that we are incarnated as in living human form. And then this part that says, you have preserved me as the head of nations, to be the head of nations. From an individual standpoint, you have preserved me as the head of nations. And I think the way that we can think about this is that as human beings, we can be like a set of energies, like a nation with many flavors of inhabitants. We have all the old detritus, the memories, the voices. We have the aspects of our shadow that are unconscious. But when we consciously claim back our energy and bit by bit, one by one, address these factors, we become the head of our own nation. We become the master spirit in the physical body, the soul, the living soul incarnate, the living representative of the living soul in the living human form. As it says in Psalm 37, do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like the grass, they will soon wither. Like green plants, they will soon die away. Oh, and I think the meaning of this is that our life is between us and God. Our authority in our own lives derives from the divinity that we are, the spark of the flame of the living God incarnated into the baby that you were. And as you grow and as you become a living human with your own consciousness, you can make a conscious choice for reconnection. You can make a conscious choice to manage your own energy and your own energy field, to reconnect with the light that you are and pour it into the human form. And when we do this, our life changes in potentially amazing ways. There are some that say that life is a spiral, and I can understand that from a 3rd and 4th dimensional experience. But when we connect with the living light that we are, life becomes a sphere. Life becomes a moment. Life becomes an experience at 0 point in this physical world, in this time and place. Life becomes the living presence of your own soul, animating this human form 1 to 1. and the world changes, and the opportunities that we have change, and miracles can happen. Divine grace is at the heart of it all.